I asked my wife for a paternity test and she basically said she wanted a divorce. I am convinced that my wife's son is not mine. I believe that her work husband, as she called him, is the actual father. Ever since the baby was born 3 months ago, I've had these thoughts brewing. I told my wife last night that I wanted a paternity test, and she said, I know that the test will come back with you as the father, but if you get one, consider our marriage over. I have small blue eyes, pale skin, and blonde hair, as do my parents, grandparents, and siblings. My wife has small blue eyes and red hair. Everyone in her family has either blue eyes and blonde or red hair. Yet, our baby was born with an olive skin tone, and huge brown eyes. You know who else has huge brown eyes and an olive skin tone? Her so-called work husband, Ryan, for the sake of the story, that I believed she may have had an affair with last year. One of my wife's coworkers is married to a coworker of mine. He is the one who came to me and confided that his wife believed there was something fishy going on with my wife and Ryan. They were getting unnaturally close, spending time together alone even though they don't directly work together, and the way they were interacting with each other was causing rumors to spread throughout their office. His wife, knowing that he knew me, wanted to warn me that something may be up. I asked my wife about her relationship with Ryan, and she said he was her work husband. Just someone that she could trust and be herself with at work, unlike everyone else. I told her that I was extremely uncomfortable with the way their friendship sounded, and asked that they spend a little less time together. She agreed, and that was the end of it. A few months later, we discovered that she was pregnant. This was genuinely happy news for us both, and we were excited to become parents. At a baby shower planned by some of her work friends and held at her office, I met Ryan and got a good look of his appearance. My wife and I were in a great place and very happy the entire pregnancy, and were super excited to welcome our little one. Yet despite always wanting to be a dad, when the baby was born, I didn't feel a connection to him. The first time he was put in my arms, I expected to be overtaken with emotions the way I'd always heard I would. It makes me feel like a jerk to say it, but I just felt kind of empty instead. I chucked it up to nerves, not being able to be in the room when he was born. As the months have passed and the baby has gotten bigger, I've noticed how little he looks like myself and my wife. His skin and hair have gotten darker, the nose doesn't seem to match either of ours, and he even has a cleft chin when no one in my family does, and none on my wife's come to mind that do either. Seeing him age has just given me more doubts. Last night, I admitted to my wife my fears, and asked if there was a way that the baby isn't mine. She reacted extremely negatively, as I figured, told me she'd never been more insulted, and said that she had never and would never cheat on me with Ryan or anyone. I told her for my peace of mind I wanted to have a paternity test, and that's when she said that if I got one she would consider our marriage over, regardless of the test results. I know that if my wife actually was faithful, she has every right to be offended by concerns. But I'm of the mind that the fact that the child was conceived around the time she was hanging out with work husband, and he has features that match him, justify my concerns. And also I question how it's at all fair for my wife to want to leave me if the baby is both ours just because I wanted that confirmation. Do you think my wife's behavior is shady? Ladies, how would you respond in this situation if you were my wife? I wish I would have just swabbed the kid myself, and I probably will if she keeps acting irrationally. I just feel like her response is over the top and indicative that something did go on between her and Ryan. What are your thoughts? Might as well go for it. Either the kid comes back yours and you get a divorce, the kid comes back not yours and you get a divorce, or you don't test at all and it eats you up for eternity. You've already broached the topic, so just go ahead and get the test. You need to figure out where you stand in terms of being a parent, one way or the other, for the sake of this child. Don't dither, let him bond with you, then ghost. He's innocent in all this and deserves a father who is going to be a father. Stay or go, but don't put off this decision. Figure this out ASAP. PL's update after the paternity test. Either you're correct and your wife is a cheater and there's a huge breach of trust in this relationship, or you're wrong and became paranoid and unfair towards your wife, indicating a huge breach of trust in this relationship. Divorce doesn't sound like a bad step in either of these scenarios, TBH. You've spoken your mind. You have newfound suspicion. I don't understand your wife's ultimatum. 1. You have suspicions about her being faithful equals stay together. 2. You have suspicions about her being faithful and you want a test equals divorce. Why should the formality of a test have any bearing on the status of the relationship when she already knows you have fears about her being faithful? I guess I'm just confused by the whole thing. My husband has had a vasectomy, but last month I got a positive pregnancy test, ended in early miscarriage. My husband said if the pregnancy had panned out he would have requested a paternity test, 100% certain it was his, no doubt, as I've never cheated. I said I understood and I really do. Personally, I think you have valid reasons for being suspicious and it would suck to be in your wife's shoes if she truly is innocent, but there are factors that would make me suspicious. Were there any other indications that your wife cheated? Like working late, changing the way she dressed, sketchiness with phone, etc.? I guess it's one thing for office rumors, but on its own doesn't add up to much. People get bored and gossip. Having said that, you can always get a test without her knowing. That's a decision only you can make. Ancestry can play a part in all kinds of ways though. You should look through both sides of the kid's background. My son was born with violet eyes, they turned brown after 1.5 years. My parents both have dark hair and eyes, my brother is blonde. Genetics are hard to pin down. Serious question here, why ask her? Go get an at-home DNA test and send it in, send results to a secure location. Pay with PayPal or some other means that is not likely to be traced. She does not need to know. If child is yours, then destroy all evidence of the test, do not keep the results. Part of me truly believes that a man should have the same level of knowledge of paternity as the woman. A woman will know if the child is, could be, maybe, or is not the child of the claimed father. P.S. You have issues in your relationship that need to be addressed. This is a symptom, a big symptom, of some unhealthy behavior and thought. Compare the blood type of you, your wife and the baby. Depending of the combinations, it may be impossible for the baby to be yours. Work husband is such a stupid term. You have one husband, the one you married. Is actually disrespectful, to be honest. I think as a husband and father I'd rather know. Maybe you could try explaining to her how much this means to you. Personally, I see it as a red flag, and if I was in your place then just get a test without letting her know. This is such a split thing. On one hand her words are a reaction that you don't trust her, and getting the test means the trust is breached in a deal-breaker way for her. But on the other hand, if she did cheat, this is some hardcore gaslighting you. I will say babies change a lot in the first few months. When I was a baby I literally had black hair, it all fell out and now I'm blonde. Also it takes months for them to develop permanent eye color. So how a baby looks now will change, they gain weight also and look different. So it's a gamble. My friend's baby came out so white they gave her quizzical looks and questioned who the father was. She's a dark-skinned black woman. Only you know if your suspicions are warranted. You should also know that having such a test may well end the relationship, no matter how the results come back. Up to you to decide if it's worth it. Does Ryan have a cleft chin? If he does, I think it's bad news for you. Do it yourself. Send your DNA and the baby's DNA into 23andMe. You can do this without her knowing. You know that, right? Get the test. Your marriage is over. No self-respecting woman would ever stay with you after you said what you said. At this point there is no reason to let the mystery continue. I'm sorry if I sound harsh, but if she really never cheated on you, never had an affair with her work husband, why is she so against a paternity test? Let's be honest, she knows what she did, she knows your fears, and even if it was just a weird occasion that your child looks different, why is she against it to calm your nerves? She tries to hold you hostage by playing with your feelings, and that's an awful thing to do. Get the test done, you need assurance and she needs to tell the truth. If you don't trust her, the relationship is already over. Asking for a paternity test means you don't trust her. It is safe to conclude from all this your relationship is over. And yes, it is offensive to assume a woman cheated on her husband based on the looks of their child. My son was born with a rare genetic condition, meaning he has light hair and eyes. I have light hair and eyes. My husband has dark curly hair and gets asked if he is half black in the grocery stores. Genetics are weird. I do get mad when people assume I cheated on my husband. If my husband wanted a paternity test, given a similar situation, and I did not cheat, I would of course be hurt, but I would do it. I would make him promise me, though, that when it came back as he being the father, we need to go to marriage counseling. That is the only way I would feel comfortable with something this huge. I will say, though, I would never have a work husband, and I have my own husband already, and I would sure as hell be mad if he had a work wife. She is acting pretty shady. You need to get this test done, and you need to start planning your next steps. I am sorry you're going through this. If my husband and I both had blue eyes and our baby had brown eyes, I would even want a test to see if the child was mine. We learn this crap in high school, even earlier. Brown eyes can make blue eyes, but blue eyes can't make brown eyes. I understand being offended if you're not a cheater, but to jump straight to divorce. That seems super sketchy. So she's fine with you being suspicious, so long as you don't get a test for confirmation? Why? I would get the test anyway. I'm not a fan of any sort of deception, but even if it means doing it behind her back. Because at this point it just sounds like she's trying to make you back down from getting to the truth, whatever it may be, and that doesn't bode well. Just another situation that reinforces my belief that paternity tests should be mandatory. Prior to signing the birth certificate, every man should be required to take one. There really would be no drawback that I could think of. Why would you even ask her? Paternity tests can be done without her knowledge. Hair or saliva off to a lab. Kid is not yours. It is not genetically possible for two blue-eyed parents to have a brown-eyed child, although the other way around is possible. Cleft chin also makes it extremely unlikely the kid is genetically yours. View from a pregnant married lady. Sorry to say, but this seems pretty shady to me. If my husband said this to me, I can imagine getting rather hurt. But I wouldn't stand in the way or give ultimatums. I have nothing to hide. Interesting how the determining factor seems to be actually performing the test, when to me the allegation is more damaging to the relationship. I would want to prove my innocence. The combo of her reaction, the warning you received, and the baby not looking like either of you is pointing a bad direction here. I would buy the test and do it without further discussion. Remind me 2 days. The rumors and the appearance of the child are evidence that suggests cheating. They aren't proof, of course, but they are evidence. If your wife found evidence that suggested you were cheating, and you had proof that you weren't, e.g. you claimed you went to a concert that night and your credit card bill should show you bought the tickets, would you threaten divorce when asked for the proof, or would you gladly show her the proof to remove all doubt in her mind? Get the test. If she divorces you, it's not because of this one thing.